All right, weekend's over. Back to work we go. We got some money to make this week. Only a couple more days left of September. Got to get after it this week. And boy, headlines this afternoon. NVIDIA, OpenAI teaming up for a partnership next year. That's got these markets just jamming higher this afternoon. And I'll tell you guys, anytime we see a big move like this in the afternoon, there's always two types of trades I look for the following day. We're going to cover those in a lot of detail tonight because I want to make sure you have a game plan to make some money off those two trades tomorrow morning as well. So charts are ready. As always, enough of the introduction. Thanks for tuning in and watching our videos. Let's roll those sleeves up, get these charts ready to go, and make some money on what should be a fantastic Tuesday session. S&P SPY ready to go tonight. NASDAQ triple Qs are ready, aren't they? I've got 4 clues on these charts telling me where I think the money is made tomorrow. First clue, it's right here on the hourly time frame. You can easily see right now the buyers are in full control on the S&P SPY. Obviously, the buyers are in control. The NASDAQ triple Qs. The first clue is I like to use the hourly chart as a directional filter. It's easy to see right now the buyers are in full control. That's my bias for tomorrow. Speaking of tomorrow, the second clue is over in the calendar for tomorrow. Tomorrow's a Tuesday. We don't have any major news. A little bit of that PMI composite flash tomorrow at 9:45 Eastern time. But I think all eyes will be on JPOW tomorrow afternoon at 12:35. Now, personally, I don't think he will say anything tomorrow that he didn't say last Wednesday when he cut rates. So I don't expect him to be surprising anybody, but you know, anytime JPOW speaks, the head of the Fed here in the U.S., the markets are going to be listening. Now, that isn't until 12:35, so hopefully I'm wrong about this, but tomorrow might be a little bit of a choppy session. So knowing that, I will talk about some entry tactics I'll use to avoid getting chopped up if things are slow before JPOW speaks tomorrow afternoon. That's our second clue for tomorrow, JPOW at 12:35. I got 2 more important clues for you, but not on the hourly time frame. Let's now drill down to our faster time frame, our tick charts. Remember, tick charts are better for entry timing. This, by the way, is a 7,000 tick chart, upper left-hand corner. And in case you're tuning in for the first time right now, that is the 21 EMA. It is the only indicator we need to find consistent, repeatable profits. I've got 2 more important clues right now. One big clue here, and big is the word here, that big move going higher. Now, what does a big move tell us? Well, we all know we want to buy low, right? And after a big move higher, we can't buy low after a big move. So a big move says, I want to see a 2-legged pullback to allow buyers to buy low. And the goal is to go back up and retest the high. Anytime I see a big move, I think 2-legged pullback and a retest of the high. And the final clue on this chart, one of my favorite clues, by the way, is that little trading range we saw overnight last night. They kind of dumped off the highs Sunday night into a trading range and then basically broke out from there. Now, what do we always talk about? Anytime we see a range breakout, it's just a matter of time before we see a breakout pullback. Now, I'll tell you, that would be a favorite spot for us. But I'll tell you right now, this might be a bit tricky to time the entry on that. We're going to cover that in more detail here later on in this video. You know, I mentioned earlier that anytime I see a big move like this in the afternoon, there's always 2 types of strategies I look for the following day. The first one is setting up beautifully right now on this S&P, and the second one is setting up perfectly on the NASDAQ right now. So let's cover the first one, which is kind of the easiest one here on the S&P and SPY. And then if you like making money, I would definitely make sure you watch all the way to the end because I'll cover the second one, which is a bit more advanced, but you'll see why I like that one a lot for tomorrow as well. So, okay, big move. The first scenario, I want to get a nice, deep, 2-legged pullback. Ideally, I would love to combine this channel and really a lot of these prior swings right there. That'd be a great spot to buy a nice 2-legged pullback. But how do we time the entry on these? Because you know, right, I'm not going to blindly buy this. What I'll do is I'm going to wait for that 2-legged pullback. Then As this thing starts to feel very bearish, like we saw today, right? As it rolls lower and it feels very bearish, I'm going to watch as the price pulls back and look for a bear trap off the 21 EMA. Now, I use what's called the 2-try rule for a bear trap. It's very simple. Let the bears try once, let them try twice, then I know where their stops are. And think about this, if you're caught short, you get stopped out of a short trade, what happens? You buy your way back out. So that 2-try bear trap is an easy way. Look over here. Run down, bears once, bears twice, right? And squeeze those stops like that. That's an easy 2-try bear trap. Now remember, where's the market want to go? It wants to go back up and take out that high. This gives us plenty open space to what? To add to our winner. Once you get the bear trap, now look for separation off the moving average, a higher high in price, and the goal is, before I take out that high, I want to add to that winner with this very simple, technically it's called a bear trap pattern. If you guys are in my free video class right now, we call this a bear trap and an add-on in our trade room. And the entries on these are the exact same thing I teach on the free video course. Now, question for you here. Sometimes we don't get that bear trap down there. You know, I would not be surprised at all if we saw a bit of a rug pull before JPOW tomorrow. So many buyers down here buying the breakout pullback zone, right? I would imagine after a big move like this, a ton of buyers are waiting down there. We may not get a bear trap down there. It may just whoop and run right back up again. Now, these can be challenging, right? So watch closely here. If it V bottoms off that low, it almost always begins to grind going higher. I'm going to warn you though, that voice in your head is going to make this difficult not to chase it. Okay, on a V bottom like this, the FOMO, at least for me, the FOMO is real on these V bottoms like this. What I don't want to do is chase it. My patience is almost always rewarded by looking for the first test off the low of that new channel. Now notice how I draw that. I draw it first by connecting off the highs. So once it begins to grind higher, just draw a trend line up off those highs. Then bring that trend line down around those lows. And whatever you do, do not miss the bear trap, the entry tactic off the low of that channel. In the trade room, we call this the first test is the best test. Love those. Again, they're basically V bottom reversals. The goal again is to go back up and retest that high. Now, I mentioned earlier that breakout pullback zone. We may see not just a 2-legged pullback, but a 3-legged pullback down here. I'm going to show you how to time that perfect entry on a much deeper pullback. Before we do that though, let's slow down for 2 seconds because I know most folks watching right now, you guys know these patterns, you're making money with these already. But if you're watching for the first time right now, this might be way over your head, a brand new strategy. Don't you worry though, I teach this entire roadmap, the entire system. In fact, I have a ton of examples of all these entry tactics. I teach so much more of this in my free trading course. In fact, what I'll do is guys, I'll put a little link up top here for you. Upper right hand corner, hit that link to popped up there. Take that free trading course because the strategy you'll learn in that video course will teach you a simple trick we use in our members trade room each morning that literally tells us exactly where to find the winning trades each day. It is remarkably simple. You'll laugh when you see how simple that technique is. More importantly though, let's face it, we make our money by timing good entries. So I want to teach you my 4 favorite entry setups. It's all included in that short video series so you can time better entries, get your confidence back. Guys, bottom line, the markets are way too good right now not to be making the money you want out of this. So if you're missing best entries, if you've lost your confidence, your current strategy, what are you waiting for? Hit that link that popped up there. Watch that free video course. Everyone loves all the trade examples I include. I have a ton of real trade examples, all linked up, all included in the website with that free video course. Best part is it's completely free for you. Be aware too, guys, below this video, I'll put all the important links you need to learn more. Start first on the free video course. Most folks start making money all on their own, all from that free video class. So start there first. And don't forget too, guys, we trade together every morning in our trade room, the place to be, 8 o'clock Eastern time. Come trade this stuff with us. I'll put that link below the video tonight. And don't forget to, we post a ton of charts and videos and mindset stuff on Twitter, or X they call it these days. If you're on the X platform, give me a follow. My handle's down there. Again, all the info you'll need is linked below this video. But again, start first with that free video class. You're going to love that one. Everyone loves that free video course. Okay, where did we leave off? Oh, yes. One of my all-time favorite trades is what I call a retest trade. And I know a lot of you guys love this one. You've learned to love this one already. Okay, here's how it works. What if we see a much deeper pullback here? You know, for example, we might get a two-legged pullback down here. I oftentimes will get a nice, easy bear trap, bears once, bears twice, and we'll squeeze this thing running higher. But every once in a while, we don't make our way all the way back to that retested high. Every once in a while, we'll pop up. I'm going to get my 1-to-1 first target. I'll move that stop up to my point of entry. Not right that way, a winning trade. Can't turn against me, get rid of the risk on that trade. It's a winning trade, but then we see another leg going lower. Now remember, in these situations, anything underneath that low is called a retest trade. Oftentimes, this leg right here can be used as a measuring leg, right? A measuring leg, a measured move, A, B, C, D. That creates a measured move here. So, I mentioned earlier, I love the idea of a breakout pullback down here. But I'm going to warn you right now, if it gets all the way down there, it will feel like a reversal. But don't forget, we don't use the tick charts for direction, right? The time chart, the hourly chart, that is for direction. What I want to be aware of is oftentimes we'll get that nice easy bear trap, but then we'll see a run going lower. It'll retest that low and oftentimes complete a measured move. Okay, now remember this. This is the money zone down here. This is the area where it will feel like a reversal, okay? It's not a reversal. So, same thing. Again, anywhere underneath that low, down to that breakout pullback zone, I'm going to look for another bite at this bear trap apple. So as it pulls back, bears once, bears twice. Remember, always a higher high in price. Squeeze those stops and then add to your winner, as hopefully that one will usually be the one that makes that run all the way back up to retest those highs. So if we do see what might end up becoming a three-legged pullback, 1, 2, retest, do not be shy. Remember, those are oftentimes our biggest winners in our trade room. Runs down, bear trap it, add back in, keep on trapping those bears, trying to chase this thing running lower. It's a big move higher. The deeper it pulls back, the more buyers are going to be interesting. Now, here's one more question for you. We got JPOW, right, coming tomorrow, right? JPOW coming tomorrow. I'm going to cover that second game plan in just a moment. But you know what happens oftentimes when JPOW speaks? The markets get all clammed up, right? We don't get a nice deep two-legged pullback for a bear trap. Remember, a deep two-legged pullback allows me to risk small to earn relatively large, right? It's a great risk-reward ratio with a nice deep two-legged pullback. What if all we get, though, is a relatively shallow pullback? Like, what if all we get is off this 37 level? What do I do then? Well, you know what, guys? This might turn into one big range up here around JPOW. We'll talk about ranges in 2 seconds on the NASDAQ. If all I see is a shallow pullback, or if this thing keeps on grinding higher overnight, we just heard about a $100 billion partnership between NVIDIA and OpenAI launching next year. This thing might keep on grinding higher. The goal on a shallow pullback is to buy as low as I can, and this is the entry pattern I'm going to do or going to use to accomplish it. So whether or not we see a shallow two-legged pullback or we keep on grinding higher right now, the entry pattern will always look like this. It'll be a higher high in price, and I'm getting in below prior swings. Whenever I'm buying shallow pullbacks, I'm buying with this pattern, all right? Whether it's grinding higher or it's a shallow two-legged pullback, These are called technical bear traps, like I teach in the free video course. A lot of examples of those. Just grab the free course, log into the website. You're going to love the members access of that free video class. So shallow pullbacks, right? Shallow pullbacks got to be technical bear traps. All right, now we know the easiest of the two entry patterns, that two-legged pullback, get that nice deep two-legged pullback, trap those bears in and back up and retest. And I talked about some variations of that just in case things get a bit wild tomorrow morning in our trade room. Now let's talk about the NASDAQ over here. Now, as always, the first things first, what's my direction on the higher time frame? Don't overcomplicate this too much. All we care about is what is the direction on the higher time frame. That's our directional filter, right? Then we use the tick charts to drill down and time the entries from there. Now, speaking of the tick charts, before we dive into the tick charts and talk entries for tomorrow, if you're enjoying tonight's video, please help me grow this channel, will ya? By hitting that like button, and make sure you subscribe, hit the notification bell so you always get notified every time I publish something new. I know we're all busy people right now. I appreciate you guys watching, tuning in, and watching my videos. So as always, guys, thank you guys so much for the likes, all the subs, all the ongoing support. And I promise I'm done begging for attention here. It's YouTube to make us do this here on the YouTube channels. Let's dive in though, talk tick charts for tomorrow. And again, you'll notice right away here a 4,000 tick chart on this NASDAQ, a slightly different time frame there than the NASDAQ and the S&P. Look at the clues we see right now on this NASDAQ. First clue, big move, right? I want to see a nice, deep, two-legged pullback. Remember, when I say two-legged pullbacks, think about a measured move that goes a bit too far, all right? When I say two-legged pullback, think about a measured move. A, B, C, D goes a little bit more than a measured move. Again, right when it feels like a reversal, that is when it's usually the best time to be buying. Once that voice in your head says, this seems pretty bearish, that is usually the best time to start buying. When your instincts tell you short, that's usually the right time to start buying, right? Okay, so two-legged pullback. Again, anytime we see a big move, we don't want to buy high. Two-legged pullback in a retest of that high here. What else do we see right now? Look at those ranges. That's a range right there. That's a range right there. Again, ranges, whenever they break out, it's not an if, it's a when. It's one of the most certain things about trading I can teach you. Nothing's guaranteed, but breakout pullbacks are about as close to guaranteed as you'll get in the financial markets. So knowing this right now, I mentioned earlier, there are two strategies we use when a big move like this happens. One of them, again, was that two-legged pullback. I would love to combine that with that breakout pullback zone, obviously. Trap those bears in, squeeze those stops, right, and go back up to retest the high. Another fun fact here too is, again, if we were to see a breakdown, a pullback, and another leg going lower here, think about that retest trade, right? The breakout leg, measuring leg. Again, right when that voice in your head, right when your instinct is to sell, remember, this is the tick charts, right? Not the time charts, right? Tick charts say, this is our directional filter right now, is still the long side. So that retest trade, that measured move technique I mentioned earlier on the S&P can also be applied as well. And one of the most important clues, or one of the most important things in the NASDAQ is, if all we see is a shallow pullback, what do? We look for that technical bear trap, right? Because again, we want to buy as low as we can. And after a big move like this, the risk-reward ratio isn't that great up here. Looking for shallow pullbacks, it's always going to be a two-try technical bear trap. Now, the second strategy after a big move like this is a range strategy. You can see right away here, the NASDAQ is pretty much showing us a range developing as we speak right now. Now, ranges, they like to rotate with symmetry. So once we know exactly where this range is, we then start watching for rotation back and forth. Now remember, rotation can be in the form of triangles, megaphones, expanding triangles. We like to use what we call pendulum swings, the amount below, the amount above, the amount above, the amount below. We use symmetry to trade that rotation. So if we understand that we are bullish right now possibly into this range we see right now. And keep in mind, this may not be the final range here. This range may be a little bit lower, a little bit higher. I don't know exactly where the range will be for tomorrow, but bear with me on this example. If I have a trading range up here, and again, we know that ranges like to rotate. If I see a run going lower, again, this will feel like a reversal, but it's not a reversal because what do ranges do? They like to rotate, right? So as we go lower here, it's the exact same game plan. I'm not going to blindly buy down here. I'm going to use a bear trap. Let those bears try once, higher high, try twice, and squeeze those stops running higher. Ranges want to rotate. So where is the target? We now know on the opposite side of that range, and this is where the fun happens. This is where we can now adding to our winner separation off that moving average, higher high in price. A lot of examples of that entry pattern in the free video course. You definitely want to learn that if you like making consistent profits. Again, bear trap, add on, leave that runner all the way to that pendulum swing, not just back to retest the high, but that pendulum swing running higher here. And remember too, the same variations I mentioned earlier, right? If this is a range right here, and if we see a really strong shot lower, but we don't get that bear trap down here, if it just whoop and runs right back up again, a V bottom, like I said earlier on the S&P, a V bottom says, very simple, mark a trend line. Off that high, bring it down around that low, look left, find those prior swings, and as always, don't miss that first bear trap entry below prior swings off of that low, and you know the deal, right? Leave that runner and let that thing run to the other side of that trading range. Also, too, don't forget, anytime we see a range breakout, the breakout leg is a measuring leg. So if we do get that bear trap, but for some reason we can't rotate, and it makes another leg going lower here. Remember, the breakout leg is the measuring leg. There is your measured move. There's your retest trade. Like I said earlier, would love that. Right off that breakout pullback zone, bear trap them in once, twice. Why twice? Because I want their pain, right? I want those sellers to get stopped out. You get stopped out of the short trade, you're buying your way out. It's that bear trap. It's that add-on, you know the drill, and run that thing back other side of that trading range. One last thing here, be careful with the fake out breakout. When ranges like this, we oftentimes will see price go lower, pop higher. Be careful with that fake out breakout up top there because again, ranges like to rotate. Oftentimes we'll see what's called a crown reversal pattern. It's basically a bull trap. It's buyers once, lower low, buyers twice, strong red candle, closing back below the 21 EMA. I teach that pattern in the free video course, and we run back down again. Now again, these are more difficult on the emotions because that rotation coming off the high, it's going to make it very nervous to buy down there. But you know better than that now. You know that is nothing more than a range rotation off the high. Find that pendulum swing, take your profit on the crown reversal trade, and then what do? Load the boat back up again. And remember too, a lot of times these will go a bit further. A lot of times they will not stop at that breakout, at that pendulum swing, all right? So remember, the deeper it goes, the better it is for us, right? So don't let an overshoot of that pendulum swing. Don't let that fool you into thinking this is a full reversal. In all reality, I hope it overshoots that pendulum swing because then as all those rookies think we're bearish now, they come back and start getting short. They're selling right into the breakout pullback zone, right at key support below that range, and ranges love to rotate and snap that sucker back up into that trading range. So be aware of that dynamic. A lot of times, again, especially with J-Pow speaking tomorrow afternoon, do not be surprised if we go sideways here tomorrow. And if we do, focus on those shallow pullback traps, rotation back and forth, trade that chop zone stuff we mentioned last week late on the video late last week. All right, guys, that's the game plan for tomorrow. What do you think? Will J-Powell say something that really gets these markets going? Only time will tell, but that's how I'm trading it on Tuesday morning. Now, speaking of Tuesday morning, don't forget, we get together every morning, 8 o'clock Eastern time. Guys, the place to be is in my trade room. Every morning at the opening bell, I'll put all the important links you need below this video in the description, because the easiest way to start making money in these markets, come out and learn and trade along every morning at the opening bell. Again, start first with that free video course. You're going to love all the trade examples I include on the website. Then come join us in the trade room every morning and we'll do it together. In the meantime, guys, be well out there. Be nice to each other tomorrow, will ya? And be here next time. Adios, amigos. Bye for now.